Do you do you know our names, our complete names?
Yeah, it is recording now, okay? So, hello, tutor. How are you? This is the group number 16, and we're going to do the discussion panel about the Colombian education course, which is focused to the three topics about the course is talking about. So tonight we have, here is the group. Here we have Mr. German, Mrs. Jessica, and Mrs. Adriana. Okay, and me,
Hello.
Javier. Okay, so tonight we're going to do a presentation, a discussion panel about the topics we have been studying in this course. Okay, so Adriana, could you tell me about a little bit about Colombian education, please?
Well, as far as I know, Colombian education has been growing slowly, but the main goal of it is to get to a higher education level. And I know that the government has launched different programs in order to achieve the goal. One of the first steps that the government started with was to make public education in elementary and secondary school free for young teenagers to have the chance to attend classes and avoid desertion. And the other one is launching different programs of English to help students be bilingual, since nowadays more and more students are going to abroad to continue their careers over there. I know that this hasn't reached all the different areas in Colombia. For example, there are some rural areas that don't have this chance or opportunity because of the lack of investment that the government has invested. And I also know that students who are attending university studies are focusing on business management, engineering, and social science. Though there is a great number of students who can't have access to this kind of education because of the cost, because of the effects, since they don't get the score that they need to get enrolled into the university. So some of them opt for technical courses and technologies that last like between 2 and 3 years. And the education system in Colombia is lasting 11 years, 5 years in elementary school, and 6 years in secondary school. In secondary school is divided between low secondary level and upper secondary level, that is the last 2 years of school, 10 and 11th grade. Um, what else? Well, I know that education is marked, well, the curriculum and the objectives is marked by the Ministry of Education, and but some schools can make modifications based on their environment and their needs. Um, there are 9 important areas in the curriculum that are social science, natural science, ethics and values, mathematics, humanities, art education, physical education, religion, technology, and technology information. Those are like the most important aspects in the curriculum.
Okay, that's a pretty cool information, Adriana.
Thank you.
Besides our partner German, I mean, he has more information about the Colombian education.
Mhm.
So, German.
Okay, what I can say is that in the last few years, the government has been increasing its support to education, adding new resources and investment in the Colombian general budget. But it's not enough. If we take in account just one issue, talking about the bilingual national program that started in 2004, and it was project to be reached up to 2019. This ambitious government program was initially projected to be from 2004 to 2015, and pretended that at the end, 100% of public schools students were in B1 level. We're talking about the European framework for languages. And 100% of public teachers were in B2 level. In 2014, the final result for these students was 1%, just 1% were in that level. And there aren't any statistics for teachers. These results leave many questions. For example, do the teacher have proficiency in English language? Or how much money invested the government in training teachers? Okay.
Okay, that is a very interesting information about the Colombian education, I think, because I mean the goal of the government, it was pretty ambitious. I mean, they wanted to graduate everybody, I mean, from school with a B1 English level. And as you said, a partner German, I mean, it was a completely fail. I don't know if you think the same. What do you think, Jessica, maybe?
I
Do you have any opinion?
Okay, first, according to your contribution, I think that education in Colombia, there is still much to improve, despite your progress. In our country, can see that the quality of education isn't the same for all Colombians, since it depends a lot on the social sector, being the middle and lower sectors the most affected due to social injustice.
Okay. So, what do you think might be the other reason due to the students they cannot achieve, they cannot get the B1 English level? I mean, the partner German talk about the, the low investments that government has done. And what do you think might be the other component or the other factor that is providing students to get a B1 English level? I don't know.
Mm, well, as I believe, like, partner German said that there is no statistics about teachers if they have the proficiency level of teaching English. So that might be one of the causes too. Some schools don't have the teachers who really know how to teach or impair the language because they don't speak it. So if they don't speak it, they might not be able to teach it, and therefore the students are not going to be able to get the language. So that might be one of the factors that we don't have teachers who are prepared to impair this language.
Yeah, to teach the language. Yeah,
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 to teach it. Mm-hmm.
it's a very interesting point of view. Okay, so if
Mm-hmm.
you are in agreement, so we can continue with the other part of the forum, if, of the panel. Yes, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. What do you think? Do you have anything else to say? Maybe.
Hmm. Well, I guess that overall we have said like everything. There was like a general overview of how education in Colombia has been growing slowly, but still there are many things to take into account in order to make it better. That there are some parts that the government has failed, and it is important to continue working in order to have a high education level, not only in English but in the different areas that students are seeing at school.
I I also think that students, not most of the students, but the majority of them, they are not committed with their language learning process because they don't feel interested into learn a new language.
Mhm.
Most of them waste their time, I don't know, using the technology in bad ways. or using Facebook, or I don't know, we see using YouTube. I mean, in the improper way. So I think that teachers they should, I don't know, try to change this kind of view of the students in order that they can change their way of being, their way of think. Because I mean, nowadays with the technology we have, I think that they could learn a lot, but they don't do it. I don't know.
I believe, well, I agree with you. And I also think that students need to be encouraged since elementary grades. If they know and they feel the importance of it, they might be more committed in higher grades. But as you said, most of them are not interested and are using technology in ways that it shouldn't be.
Yes.
So maybe a little encouragement can work too.
Yes. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So we can continue with the with you. Or, oh no no no. Okay. With Jessica. Okay. With Jessica. Okay.
Mhm.
So Jessica, could you tell us about innovative education, the Escuela Nueva in Colombia, please?
Okay, first, um, about the innovative education, um, I could say that it's a great opportunity in order to offer complete primary education and introduce a qualitative improvement in rural and rural schools, improving the quality and effectivity. Uh, but the great problem is the lack of resource for the education. This must have a good teacher trainer, a structure, didactic materials, um, which must be a good opportunity mainly in the rural, since it's very difficult access to education for various reasons. For example, the violence, the exclusion that affects both teacher and student. Here, it is necessary that the government invest more, not just for the girl. That's all
Okay.
for now.
Okay, so doing okay, giving a complementary information about the innovative education, the Escuela Nueva. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the background of this pedagogical model. And this is a pedagogical model which was created in the middle 70s. It was created by Vicky Colbert, Barry Levinger, and Oscar Mogollon. Okay, but currently Vicky Colbert is the director of this. I mean, from this institution, because nowadays it is an ONG. It becomes in an ONG, and she's the director. As my partner said, this methodology promotes active learning, which should be focused on participation and collaboration. This mechanism strengthens community and schools relationships, making up a concept called flexible promotion, which is adapting to the students' needs and conditions, and this allows them to move forward to upper grades in their own pace. This is a very particular methodology to work with the rural areas, because when Colombian education was spread it out all over the country, there were a lot of areas, far areas in the mountains, rural areas, and which were not taken account to be educated. So this model focused on those specific areas, and the groups in which it's developed, it is in a one classroom with all the grades inside of it. So you can find a first grade, second grade there in the same classroom, and they all work together. So the teacher should be very creative to work with different students, and is very particular because they can work in their own pace to continue with with the new grades or approving the new grades. Uh, I also think that this methodology use very meaningful, significant learning, because they are in continued contact with the environment. It's not like the normal school in the urban areas. like where they are sitting on the chair with a book or with a teacher. No, in the innovative school, the Escuela Nueva, they go out to the forest or to the camp outside, and they are in very continued contact with the environment. So I think it's a very cool strategy, a very nice pedagogical model, and in fact, this model has won a lot of awards during the history. And one of the most famous award that this model won was the oh I got it here. It was the Wise Award. It's a very important recognition to the people who has worked with the education. I don't know if someone else have another opinion or something else to say.
No, it's okay.
I would like to ask you how students are assessed in what is the assessment system they are using in the Escuela Nueva?
The
Is it
assessment
the
that they
traditional one, or they are giving feedback to the students?
I mean, they use kind of a mixture between traditional and new about feedbacks
Mhm.
assessment. They use because they depend on the government, so they have to handle the
Mhm.
same system that the government use with the urban areas. So they have to use the same model, but they also use a more deeper way to evaluate them by using more constructivism models to apply
Mhm.
in the assessments.
Okay.
I am worried about something when you say that they don't attend, like a regular classroom, because there's something that in schools nowadays is schools are taking, accounting that is that something that's called civil responsibility. You know, when you take out kids out of the school, and there's a lot of responsibility, you know, by school or by teachers. So that sounds really nice, but in the practice, I don't know what could happen if they go, for example, as you say, in a rural zones, they can find some, what happened with the people go walking, in a field, and you know what they can find, and even they can get hurt, about
Yes.
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's something. I mean, that project, um, um, it sounds very good. I mean, for other countries, but in our country, we have to take in account all those other things that are not, regular in other countries.
The violence and.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So I don't know, another thing to contribute with the Escuela Nueva. I don't know, something else you have heard maybe or
Well, I've heard that the Escuela Nueva helps students to be more autonomous about their learning process, and they are more committed with the tasks they need to do. And I also know that it's basically implemented in rural areas, and they are trying to do the same in urban ones, but it has been like a difficult task because students are not I mean, they are not showing the same interest
yeah.
because they are more accustomed to the traditional system, and they don't see it the way that it is presented. Like, they don't see the chances and the opportunities they have to learn in that way. They are more accustomed to see the teacher as the one that holds the knowledge,
Yeah.
and that,
Is
yeah,
I
that's.
guess is I
Mhm.
guess is focus on student, not focus on
Yeah.
teacher. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's
So
that's not a traditional way of
Way of teaching.
teaching learning process. So
yeah.
I guess that's not I know the teacher do it, show you how to do it, and then you do it and you do it with the teacher.
Yeah.
Those three steps are different in that school.
Yeah, well, for example, I have a friend, and he is teaching. I mean, by the magisterium. I don't know how to say magisterio in English. He's working by that in that way. Okay, and he told me that once he was hired to work in the rural area in a school like this one, and he felt so well because I mean, he told me that the way in that children's behave there is very different than the children's behave here in the city.
Yeah.
I mean, the way of being of them is pretty much different. And when I mean, he at the beginning he felt kind of frustrated because the school was pretty far from his house, but at the end he got a house there. I mean, nearby the school, and I mean nowadays he's living there, and he feels so cool because he tells me that yeah, the people, the children, they are very different than children from here of the city.
And you know
Yes.
what happened in rural areas? The students are eager to learn. You know, they are
Yeah.
really
Mhm.
motivated because
Yeah.
they sometimes or many times they don't have a teacher. They have the school sometimes. You know, that you can see the building there, the school, but some teachers is not. It's hard to get teachers. You
Yeah.
know, to get
and
there. So they always try. They are motivated to learn.
and a lot of times I cannot believe that. I mean, there are some children that they have to walk, or they have to ride horses. I mean, for
For
1 hour,
hours.
2 hours to get the
Mhm.
school, and they really make the most of this opportunity to learn a little bit more. I mean, it really gets me upset that children here in the city, they have all the devices, the technology, all the teachers, the books, all available, and they don't make the most of that opportunity. So it's another thing to say.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we can finish a I don't know. We can finish. I think we talked about everything. Yeah, we talked about the Colombian education. Oh, the
Yeah, we're missing the
innovative.
We're
assessment system.
we're
We are
missing the
missing the
assessment
basics
system. Mhm.
assessment system. Okay, okay. So I'm going to talk to you about the assessment system, or I mean, do you want to say something previous to the assessment system? Maybe Jessica,
I'll,
do you want to say
uh,
something?
okay.
Okay, first, about the assessment system, um, I could say that isn't a process easy. That isn't a process easy because require technical expertise, financial resource, and institutional committees allow evaluate the progress of the students. However, we could say that missing more to improve. That has to students like machines, since they only study for certain moments. Without tests is not enough to evaluate it.
Okay.
Mhm.
I mean,
So,
do you have another opinion? Maybe. I don't know.
Okay, the real goal for the goal of the assessment system is to evaluate,
Yes.
to see if education in school has improved, um, if the school has reached the curricular and instructional aims. That's basically. Um, this can clarify the objectives of cost, you know, how much it costs. You can make it to a test. Here in Colombia, the Instituto Colombiano para la Evaluación de Educación, ICFES, is the agency, you know, that the government is the institution of the government that is in charge of evaluating students. And it's supposed to, through that evaluation, they can do a lot of things. Like I said, you know, clarifying the curriculum, giving feedback to schools, giving feedback to students, and but that's the idea. But at the end, that's not done. Okay, they don't do that. At least in the schools I have been, they make the test for third graders in primary, third and fifth graders, and in for secondary school, ninth graders and 11. That's called the the test Saber 11, which also qualifies the students for the universities, private and public. But unfortunately, every government, every president that comes in, changes the policies. For example, for few years, I guess about 8 years, 10 years before, the the test was taken by every year, no, every 2 years. Then the next government say, no, let's take the test every year. And then comes the other government and says, no, let's add another level. And then comes the next president or the next policy and it says, no, let's take off that level. Yes. So
There
there
is
are
no
many
constancy.
there,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what it doesn't work.
Hmm.
And besides, that what that test, the idea of the test is to prove, and to measure the 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 knowledge of the students, and how schools are working to reach the curriculums. But there isn't, like I said, any feedback to schools, any feedback to students. The only feedback they get is the final results, with the grade they got, the percentages or whatever. But there isn't any feedback. And it also said that through that test they can research, they can apply, new policies to the curriculum, but it's not done. That is not done in Colombia. They only use the test to get the to evaluate students that they can get in the university. And no
Yeah.
more. There's no feedback.
Yeah, I am in completely agreement with you, partner, because the assessment system, it has been public since the 1959 here in Colombia, and since the beginning, it has been always a system to become the education in a score, right? So
Hmm.
if you know, so you have a score, you have a number, and the idea is the one that, as you said, they have to give a completely feedback to the students about what they did, and in based of that score or of that feedback, they have to improve the education in order to keep the I don't know the quality of education. In a high standard, because if they only keep doing tests and giving evaluations and investing in doing evaluations for all the students, they will keep only scores. For assessing people to know if they can ingress to the university or not. So as you say, the feedback is the most important part of assessment system, but they are not taking into account very much.
And also, the one thing that in Colombia is, it doesn't, there's no research at all here. The government doesn't invest in research as they should do.
Yeah. In fact, I think that it was with this government, they take out a lot of investment. A millionary part for the research department. They put it away because they thought that it wasn't needed for the Department of Research.
Hmm. Okay. I agree with you guys too, with the information that you say. I also believe that, like the traditional evaluation system that we have is just testing students for what they are learning at the moment. But with the time, they tend to forget what they have already seen. So they are not creating students with critical thinking. Students sometimes don't know what to answer according to specific problematic situations or social situations. So if they are able to change the grading system that they have in Colombia by giving feedback, it will be a great chance for the students to know about their strengths, their weaknesses, and to work on their weaknesses in order to be able to, how can I express it? To achieve the goals that the government is expecting them to get. So, but I also see it difficult because of the number of students in a classroom. I guess for a teacher, it's really complicated to give feedback to 50, 60 students that are in a classroom in a
Yeah,
public school. So that makes it even harder.
yeah,
And I also think that teachers need to be trained to know how to give that kind of feedback. So there are many aspects to take into account to consider, you know.
that
It's
that
a
is
big,
something.
and hmm?
No,
Go
continue.
ahead,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go
No
ahead.
problem, go ahead.
No, I was about to say that it was
Uh-huh.
anti-pedagogical. I mean, put 60 students into a classroom. I mean, if they were packaged, I mean, it's very anti-pedagogical. And the teacher is not a superhero. He's a human being, a normal
Mm-hmm.
human being. He can get stressed very easy, and he cannot hold 60 students at the same time. So I think that it is kind of complicated for him, and I also think that that is one of the reasons that private schools they work better because the groups are shorter, are smaller. Sorry, so the teacher can focus on the students. I mean, in a proper way. I mean, he can focus better than the in a public school. Yeah.
They can have a better follow-up of each student. Mm.
Okay. So
Okay.
I don't know. Do you have another opinion, something else to say about the topics we have spoken about?
Not how.
Okay. German,
No,
Adrian.
that's.
No,
I think
I
that's
think that's
okay.
pretty much it.
That's complete.
Yeah.
I think that we all are in the same page. We all have
Mhm.
a similar thinking, a similar way of think, because
Mhm.
we have seen the critical points that government has presented and has developed during all these years. I hope that it can get better in time. I hope.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's yeah,
Thank you so much.
it's what the government tries to do. You know, it's a shame that everything at the end it has to be with politics. The
Politics.
polit-
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that is everything for tonight. So thank you very much for watching, Tutora.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Sorry.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much. Thank you very much.
Tudor.
Bye bye, Tutor, and
Bye
take care.
bye.
Bye
See
bye.
you next time.